6 minutes can make a difference. In this story, a runner falls behind. But it's not just about running. It's about a daring escape. An experienced runner notices the same van parked at different points along her isolated running path. She dismisses her growing unease as paranoia. However, one day she discovers something alarming inside the van. This is a harrowing true account of a woman's intuition. Her instincts ultimately became her salvation from a dangerous situation. The pre-dawn darkness surrounded Mara's apartment. She carefully laced up her running shoes. Her headlamp cast a soft glow, creating eerie shadows. These shadows stretched across the sparse room. The room's simple appearance reflected Mara's minimalist lifestyle.
Perfect. Snug, but not too tight.
Mara's voice was barely above a whisper. This habit was born from years of solitary mornings. She stood, stretching her lean frame. Her eyes were naturally drawn to the window. Beyond the window, the forest loomed, a constant presence in her daily routine.
Just you and me out there today, old friend.
A faint smile played on her lips. She grabbed her water bottle and headed for the door. The familiar weight of her keys in her hand grounded her. It was a small ritual of control. She prepared to face the unpredictable wilderness. The crisp morning air nipped at Mara's exposed skin. She jogged towards her favorite trailhead. The steady crunching of gravel under her feet created a comforting melody. This sound helped to quiet the persistent voice of her therapist in her mind.
Remember, Mara, it's okay to acknowledge your fears. They're not a sign of weakness.
Not now, Elena. This is my time.
Mara pushed the thought away. She focused on the trail ahead. It disappeared into the dense forest. The trees seemed to close in around her. Their branches reached out like twisted fingers. All of this happened in the dim light. The forest engulfed Mara, creating an eerie atmosphere as she continued on her path. As she rounded a familiar bend, a brief movement caught her eye. Mara's steps slowed for a moment. Her heart rate began to quicken. The sudden change in her surroundings had startled her, causing a momentary pause in her journey.
Get a grip, Winters. It's probably just a deer.
She chided herself for her reaction. Yet, a chill ran down her spine. It had nothing to do with the cool morning air. For a moment, the forest seemed to pause. It was as if the woods were holding their breath. The atmosphere felt watchful and expectant.
Hello? Is someone there?
Only the echo of her own voice answered. Mara shook her head, trying to steady her breathing. She resumed her pace along the trail. As she pushed deeper, a feeling of unease clung to her. It felt like a second skin, impossible to outrun. The dense forest enveloped Mara as she pushed along the winding trail. The familiar rhythm of her feet against the earth usually brought comfort. But today, something felt off. She couldn't quite place the feeling. An unsettling sensation prickled at the back of her neck.
It's nothing. Just your imagination running wild again, Mara. Focus on your breathing.
She tried to shake off the uneasy feeling. Her trained eye noticed unusual details around her. A cluster of branches lay across the path. They were placed in a suspicious pattern. Mara paused, her breath catching in her throat.
That wasn't there yesterday. Or was it? Maybe I just didn't notice.
Mara carefully stepped over the branches in the forest. Her pace quickened slightly as she moved forward. As she rounded a bend, a flash of color caught her eye. Carved into a nearby tree trunk was a strange symbol. The symbol's edges appeared fresh and raw.
Hello? Is someone there?
Only the whisper of wind through the trees answered her. Mara's heart raced, no longer just from physical exertion. She tried to explain away each strange occurrence. However, a growing sense of unease gnawed at her. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the bushes ahead. Mara tensed, ready to run. Then she recognized the green uniform of a park ranger.
Afternoon, ma'am. Everything all right out here?
Ranger Tom appeared friendly and approachable. His demeanor was in sharp contrast to Mara's state. Mara was on high alert and feeling uneasy. She paused, unsure of what to do next. Mara debated whether to speak up or remain quiet about her concerns.
I'm fine, thanks. Just noticed some unusual things on the trail. Probably nothing.
Oh? Like what? We always appreciate hikers keeping an eye out.
Mara studied the ranger's face intently. She looked for any signs of dishonesty. Finding none, she hesitated. Reluctantly, Mara pointed out the carved symbol.
That marking, for one. It wasn't here before, and some branches back there seemed arranged.
Could be some local kids messing around. We'll keep an eye out. You running alone today?
The question seemed harmless, yet it sent a chill down Mara's spine. Mara felt an instinct to protect her solitude. This feeling clashed with a new sense of caution. The simple inquiry had unexpectedly triggered conflicting emotions within her.
Yes, I always run alone. I know these trails well.
Well, just be careful out there. Never hurts to have a buddy system, especially in the backcountry.
Mara nodded curtly. She was eager to continue her run. She wanted to shake off the lingering unease. As Mara jogged away, Ranger Tom called after her.
Hey, if you see anything else odd, don't hesitate to report it, all right?
Sure thing, thanks.
Mara disappeared around the bend. She couldn't ignore the sense that she was being watched. The trees seemed to loom closer around her. Their shadows stretched longer, becoming more menacing than before. For the first time in years, Mara wished she wasn't alone on the trail. The soft ticking of a wall clock echoed through Dr. Reeves' office. It broke the tense silence. Mara Winters sat stiffly on the edge of a plush armchair. Her eyes were fixed on a spot near the therapist's shoulder, avoiding direct eye contact.
Mara, you mentioned feeling uneasy during your recent trail runs. Can you tell me more about that?
It's nothing, really. My imagination is just getting the better of me. I'm sure it's only the usual wildlife.
Dr. Reeves leaned forward slightly. Her brow furrowed as she studied Mara's face. The doctor's intense focus was evident in her expression and posture as she carefully examined her patient.
You're usually quite confident about distinguishing wildlife. This confidence extends to other presences as well. What makes this situation different?
I don't know. It's just a feeling. But feelings aren't facts, right? That's what you always say.
Mara's fingers drummed an erratic rhythm. They tapped nervously on the armrest. This action revealed her inner turmoil.
Feelings may not always reflect reality. However, they often come from something real. Can you describe this feeling?
It feels like there are eyes on my back. I hear branches snapping when they shouldn't. But when I look around, there's nothing there.
A shadow of concern passed over Dr. Reeves' face. She quickly jotted down a note.
Mara, your past experiences are significant. It's understandable that you might be alert to possible dangers. Let's compare this feeling to what you experienced after the childhood incident. How do your current reactions relate to those earlier emotions?
That's different. I was a kid then, vulnerable. I'm not anymore. I can handle myself.
Mara's voice became defensive. Her posture stiffened even more, reflecting her tense state.
Being an adult doesn't make you invulnerable, Mara. It's okay to acknowledge your feelings. This includes feelings of unease or fear.
Fear is a weakness I can't afford. Not out there.
Dr. Reeves paused. She chose her next words carefully.
Fear can also be a survival instinct. Have you considered this possibility? Your body might be detecting something. Your conscious mind may not have processed it yet. This unconscious awareness could be triggering your fear response as a protective mechanism.
That's ridiculous. I'm a scientist. I deal in facts, not feelings.
Mara had spoken confidently. However, her face told a different story. A hint of doubt crossed her expression.
Science teaches us to observe and analyze. It's worth paying closer attention to these experiences. Consider keeping a log of when and where they occur. This practice can help you better understand patterns and insights in your observations.
You think I'm being stalked, don't you?
The word hung in the air. It felt heavy and ominous. Dr. Reeves maintained her calm demeanor. However, her eyes reflected concern. The atmosphere was tense, with the lingering impact of what had been said.
I think it's important not to jump to conclusions. However, we shouldn't dismiss our instincts entirely. What do you think might help you feel more secure?
I don't know. Maybe I just need to push harder, run faster, outrun whatever this is.
The session was coming to an end. Suddenly, Mara stood up. Her movements were tense and jerky.
Mara, please be careful out there. Remember, reaching out for help is important. It's not a sign of weakness. In fact, it shows great strength.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Doc.
Mara's dismissive tone couldn't hide the tremor in her voice. She hurried out of the office, the door clicking shut behind her. Dr. Reeves was left alone with her growing concern. The dense forest opened up to a small clearing. Mara's feet pounded the dirt path as she ran. Her breath came in controlled gasps. She had perfected this rhythm over countless miles. As Mara rounded a bend, an unexpected sight appeared. It made her slow to a jog, then stop entirely.
What the hell?
Mara's eyes narrowed as she observed the scene. An old van stood before her, its rusty body a stark sight. The once white paint had faded to a patchy gray. It was parked carelessly at the edge of a rarely used trail entrance. Mara's scientific mind immediately began cataloging details. She noted the make, model, and approximate age of the vehicle. Beneath her analysis, an uneasy feeling started to stir.
This wasn't here last week. Who'd abandon a vehicle way out here?
Mara approached cautiously. Her runner's instincts were at odds with her curiosity. She circled the van once. She noticed the van had no license plates. Forest debris had built up around the tires. The van had been there for at least several days.
Hello? Anyone around?
Only the whisper of wind through the trees answered her. Mara's hand hesitated on the van's rear door handle. Every logical part of her brain screamed to leave it alone. She thought to continue her run and report the abandoned vehicle later. But something, perhaps intuition, urged her to look inside. The door swung open with a loud creak. Mara's eyes widened in shock as she saw the van's interior. The walls were plastered with photos. Dozens of them. These were all pictures of her. They showed her running on trails and stretching at trailheads. Some even captured her leaving her apartment. Alongside the photos were maps. Her favorite routes were carefully marked on these maps.
Oh my God. No, no, no.
Panic gripped Mara suddenly. The reality of the situation hit her hard. This wasn't just a coincidence. Someone had been watching her closely. They had been tracking her movements for months. Mara had always found peace on the trails. These paths were her refuge. Now, they suddenly felt unsafe and threatening.
Get it together, Mara. Think!
Mara's hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. She quickly took photos of the van's interior. She needed evidence that this wasn't just her imagination. As Mara backed away, her eyes darted to the surrounding forest. Suddenly, she felt exposed and vulnerable in the open space.
I have to get out of here. Now.
Mara slammed the van door shut and took off running. Her pace was faster than she'd ever pushed herself before. The forest, once her refuge, now seemed full of hidden threats. Every breaking branch and swishing leaf made her heart race. As she ran, one thought echoed in her mind. It was a thought impossible to shake.
It's real. The threat is real, and I have no idea what to do next.
Mara's heart pounded in her chest. She tore through the dense forest. Branches whipped at her face and arms. The sound of the van's engine still echoed in her ears. It spurred her forward with a primal fear. This fear was unlike anything she had experienced before. Mara ran with all her might, driven by an instinct to escape.
Come on, Mara. Push harder. You've run these trails 1,000 times. You can do this.
Her internal pep talk did little to calm the growing panic. She vaulted over a fallen log with agility. Her mind raced as she debated her next move. The urgency of the situation pushed her forward, despite her inner turmoil.
The ranger station, it's not far, but can I trust them? What if they don't believe me?
Pride and fear battled within her. She pushed her body to its limits. The forest was once her sanctuary. Now it felt oppressive and threatening.
No! No, no, no!
Mara's breath suddenly stopped. She spun around, her eyes wide with fear, but she saw nothing there. It was only the wind moving through the trees.
Get it together. You're letting your imagination run wild.
She let out a shaky exhale. Despite this, she pressed on. Her resolve grew stronger with each step. The ranger station appeared through the trees. It stood as a beacon of potential safety.
Mara? What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Tom's familiar face showed a mix of surprise and concern. Mara burst through the door suddenly. She appeared sweat-drenched and wild-eyed. Her unexpected entrance and distressed state immediately caught Tom's attention.
Tom, there's someone out there. They've been following me, watching me. I know how it sounds, but I'm serious.
Whoa, slow down. Take a breath and start from the beginning.
Mara's chest heaved as she tried to calm herself. Adrenaline was still rushing through her body. She looked at Tom and saw skepticism in his eyes. This made Mara feel uncertain about herself. The doubt crept in, challenging her confidence.
You don't believe me, do you? I knew this was a mistake. I shouldn't have come here.
Hey, I didn't say that. Come on, sit down. Tell me everything.
Tom gestured to a chair. His expression was becoming softer. Mara hesitated for a moment. Her instinct was to flee. However, she desperately needed help. These conflicting feelings battled within her as she stood there.
Okay. But you have to promise to hear me out, no matter how crazy it sounds.
I promise, Mara. You're safe here.
Mara sank into the chair. The impact of her difficult experience was finally sinking in. She realized this was more than just seeking help. It was her first step towards trusting someone else. By doing so, she was acknowledging her vulnerability. This moment marked a significant turning point in Mara's journey towards healing and opening up to others.
It started a few weeks ago.
Mara began to unravel a terrifying story. She spoke about her stalker. Tom listened with growing concern. His doubt gradually turned to alarm. Before we continue, let's take a moment to reflect. What are your thoughts about this story? What would you like to hear next? Please share your thoughts in the comments. The morning sun shone through the blinds of Mara's apartment. Long shadows stretched across the floor. Mara stood motionless, her eyes fixed on the door. Her hand hovered over the doorknob, frozen in place. The familiar act of leaving for work had transformed. It was now a moment of overwhelming uncertainty. Mara found herself caught between routine and hesitation, unable to take that final step.
Come on, Mara. Get it together. It's just another day.
She took a deep breath. She prepared herself before stepping out into the hallway. Her eyes darted left and right. She scanned for any sign of movement or unfamiliar objects. At work, Mara tried to focus on her research. However, her mind kept wandering. Every rustle of paper caught her attention. Every footstep in the hallway made her jump.
Hey Mara, you okay? You seem a bit jumpy today.
I'm fine. Just didn't sleep well last night.
Mara's colleague raised an eyebrow but didn't press further. As they walked away, Mara felt their concerned gaze lingering. She hunched over her desk, trying to make herself smaller. Mara hoped to become less noticeable. The tension in the air was palpable as she attempted to shrink from view. Hours passed in a haze of paranoia. Mara found herself constantly glancing at the window. She was thinking she might see a face peering in. When her phone buzzed, Mara was startled. She was terribly frightened by the sudden noise.
Hello?
Mara, it's Dr. Reeves. I wanted to check in on you. How are you holding up?
I'm fine. Everything's normal. Why wouldn't it be?
Mara, remember our discussion about acknowledging your feelings? It's okay to admit when you're struggling. These words remind you of our previous conversation and offer reassurance that it's acceptable to be open about your challenges.
Mara's grip on the phone tightened. Her knuckles were turning white. She glanced around nervously. Mara lowered her voice. The tension in her actions was clear as she prepared to speak.
I can't shake this feeling that I'm being watched. This sensation persists even at my workplace. It feels like there are eyes everywhere around me.
That's a normal response to what you've experienced. Have you noticed anything specific? Is there something particular making you feel this way?
No, there's nothing specific. This uncertainty is driving me crazy. I can't tell if I'm being paranoid. Maybe there's really something to worry about.
Your instincts are valid, Mara. However, remember that being overly alert can sometimes create false alarms. Let's work on some relaxation techniques to help you stay calm and centered.
As Dr. Reeves spoke, Mara noticed something unusual. Her eyes were drawn to a shadow moving across the parking lot. The shadow was visible outside her window. Mara's heart began to race with uncertainty. She squinted, trying to identify the mysterious shape. Was it just a tree branch or something more sinister?
I have to go. Something's not right.
Mara, wait.
Mara stood up abruptly. Her chair scraped loudly against the floor. Colleagues turned to look at her. Their expressions showed a mix of concern and confusion. She could feel their intense stares focused on her. Mara hurried out of the office. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps. Outside, the parking lot was empty. The shadow she had seen was just a tree branch. It was swaying in the breeze. Mara leaned against the building. Her heart was pounding rapidly. She closed her eyes and tried to steady her breathing. Mara focused on calming herself down.
Get a grip, Mara. You're stronger than this. You have to be.
She opened her eyes and scanned the tree line. The trees stood at the edge of the lot. She couldn't shake an uneasy feeling. Someone was hidden in the shadows. This person was watching, waiting, and planning their next move. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead in the police station. Mara sat rigidly in an uncomfortable plastic chair. The air was thick with the scent of stale coffee and bureaucracy. Officer Jameson was a middle-aged man with a receding hairline. He leaned back in his creaking desk chair. His expression showed a mixture of boredom and skepticism.
Ms. Winters, you're saying someone's been following you on your runs? Have you actually seen this person?
No, I haven't seen them directly. But I know someone's there. There are signs of their presence. I've noticed broken branches and unsettled earth. This is in areas where there shouldn't be any traffic. I'm a wildlife biologist. I know how to interpret forest signs.
Uh-huh. And you're sure it's not just wildlife? Or other hikers?
Mara's jaw clenched tightly. Her fingers dug deep into her palms. She fought hard to keep her voice steady.
I can distinguish between animal tracks and human presence. This situation is intentional. Someone is observing me and following my movements. Why aren't you taking this matter seriously?
Look, Ms. Winters, we take all reports seriously. However, without solid proof or a confirmed sighting, our options are limited. We can't do much in this situation. Maybe consider running with a buddy for a while. Alternatively, you could stick to more populated trails.
Frustration and anger bubbled up inside Mara. She stood abruptly from her chair. The chair scraped against the linoleum floor.
So you're not going to do anything? I have to wait until this person actually attacks me?
We'll keep an eye out, ma'am. If you notice anything more concrete, don't hesitate to come back.
Mara stormed out of the police station. Her heart was racing and her mind whirling. The dismissal stung, strengthening her sense of self-reliance. Hours later, she found herself in Dr. Reeves' office. The room's warm, natural colors were very different from the bright, cold lights of the police station.
Mara, I can see you're upset. Tell me what happened at the police station.
They didn't believe me. They treated me like I was some hysterical woman. They thought I was seeing things that weren't there. But I know what I've experienced, Dr. Reeves. I'm not imagining this. My perception is clear, and I stand by what I've seen and felt.
I hear your frustration. It must be very hard to feel dismissed. This is especially true when you're deeply concerned for your safety. But I'm curious, Mara. Do you ever wonder if your view of the situation might not be entirely accurate?
Mara's posture stiffened. Her defenses were rising. The physical change in her body language was followed by an emotional shift, indicating a growing sense of caution or unease in her current situation.
What are you saying? That you don't believe me either?
Not at all. I'm asking if you've given yourself room to think about all possibilities. You pride yourself on your logical mind, Mara. But sometimes our need for control can cloud our judgment.
I know what I've seen, what I've felt. I don't need anyone else to validate that for me.
Let's explore something important together. I want to discuss your strong self-reliance. It's a strength, but it can also be a vulnerability. Have you thought about letting others in? Trusting support systems might actually make you stronger.
Mara's breath caught in her throat. The idea of relying on others made her uneasy. Showing vulnerability frightened her deeply. This fear rivaled her anxiety about the stalker.
I'm uncertain about how to do that. Every time I've trusted someone, it has backfired. How can relying on others make me anything but weak? These experiences have left me questioning the value of depending on others.
Mara, true strength isn't about standing alone against the world. It's about knowing when to reach out for support. Allowing others to help you is a different kind of courage. I think you're ready to explore this new perspective. This approach to strength involves recognizing when you need assistance and being brave enough to accept it. It's a powerful way to face life's challenges.
As the session drew to a close, Mara felt conflicting emotions. The police dismissal had shaken her deeply. However, Dr. Reeves' words had planted a seed of hope. It was a scary but encouraging idea. Mara realized her path forward might not be one she had to walk alone. This new perspective brought a mix of fear and optimism about her future. The early morning mist clung to the trees. Mara approached the trailhead of a seldom-used path. Her breath formed small clouds in the cool air. Her muscles were tense with anticipation and a hint of fear.
This is ridiculous. I can't let fear control me. I'm a runner, and I'm determined. I won't be driven away from my own trails. My resolve is stronger than any intimidation.
Mara began her stretches in the quiet surroundings. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps on gravel caught her attention. She turned quickly, her heart racing with surprise. To her relief, she saw a familiar face approaching.
Morning, Mara. Didn't expect to see anyone out here this early.
Ranger Tom. I didn't expect to see you either.
Mara's voice wavered slightly. Her tone betrayed her unease. Tom's brow furrowed in response. He noticed her tense posture.
Everything all right? You seem a bit on edge.
I'm fine. Just getting ready for a challenging run.
Tom's eyes scanned the surrounding forest. He then looked back at Mara. His expression softened with concern.
Listen, I was about to do a trail check. Mind if I join you for part of your run? This path can be tricky. It's especially challenging with the recent rainfall.
Mara hesitated for a moment. Her deep-rooted independence was in conflict. A small voice of caution spoke in her mind. She felt torn between her usual self-reliance and this new, cautionary thought.
I suppose that would be okay. I'll join for part of it, though. I like to push myself. I don't want to slow you down.
Don't worry about me keeping up. I may not be a champion trail runner, but I know these woods very well.
As they set off down the trail, Mara's early nervousness began to ease. The familiar rhythm of her feet on the earth soothed her. The sound of her steady breaths helped calm her mind.
So, Tom, have you noticed anything unusual in the trails lately?
Unusual how?
I don't know. There might be out-of-place objects. We could see signs of someone camping where they shouldn't. It's that sort of thing we're looking for.
Tom's pace slowed slightly. He considered her question.
Now that you mention it, I found something unusual. There were strange markings on trees a few miles up the trail. At first I thought it might be kids messing around. However, that explanation didn't quite fit the situation.
Mara's heart rate spiked suddenly. This wasn't due to physical exertion. She forced herself to maintain her pace. Mara didn't want to reveal her fear.
What kind of markings?
Symbols, I guess. Looked almost like...
Both Mara and Tom froze. Their eyes darted quickly. Dense undergrowth lined the trail beside them.
Probably just a deer. Let's keep moving.
As they continued on their journey, Mara felt uneasy. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Mara scanned the trees around her carefully. She searched for any sign of movement in the forest.
Tom, I think someone's been following me on my runs.
The words spilled out suddenly. She couldn't stop them in time. Tom's expression changed, becoming serious. He reacted by slowing his pace. Tom transitioned from his previous speed to a walk.
How long has this been going on?
A few weeks. Maybe longer. I thought I was just being paranoid, but...
Mara's voice trailed off suddenly. Her eyes caught something just off the trail. A chill ran through her body. The unexpected sight had startled her, leaving her frozen in place.
Tom, look.
There was a tattered piece of fabric hanging from a low branch. Mara recognized it instantly. It was a scrap from her favorite running shirt. She had worn that shirt just days ago.
We need to report this. Come on, let's head back to the ranger station. I'm calling this in.
As they turned to retrace their steps, the forest seemed to close in around them. Mara's carefully built sense of safety crumbled. She became acutely aware of every shadow and sound in the wilderness. This place had once been her refuge. Now, it felt threatening and unfamiliar. The full moon hung low in the night sky. It cast an eerie glow through the dense forest canopy. Mara's breath came in ragged gasps. She pushed herself deeper into the wilderness. Her usual evening run had transformed into a desperate flight.
Come on, Mara. Focus. You've run this trail 100 times.
She paused, listening intently. Her ears strained for any sign of pursuit. The forest seemed to hold its breath. An unnatural stillness settled over everything. The air was thick with tension, as if nature itself was waiting for something to happen.
No, it can't be.
Mara's heart pounded rapidly. Her analytical mind was in conflict with her primal instinct. Every fiber of her being screamed danger. She remembered Dr. Reeves' words from their previous session. The tension between her logical thoughts and gut feeling intensified as the situation unfolded.
Trust your gut, Mara. Your body knows things before your mind can process them.
Mara swallowed hard and made a quick decision. She chose not to follow the familiar trail. Instead, she turned away suddenly. Mara went off the usual path, plunging into the dense underbrush.
Shit!
The sound of pursuit was unmistakable now. Mara's mind raced as she quickly assessed the path ahead. She knew these woods better than anyone. It was her job, after all. Now, that knowledge felt like her only lifeline.
The ravine. If I can make it to the ravine...
Mara pushed her aching muscles to their limit. She leapt over fallen logs and ducked under low branches. The sounds behind her grew closer. They became more determined. Mara's pursuers were gaining ground, driving her to push even harder through the challenging terrain.
Come on, come on.
The ground suddenly dropped away beneath her feet. Mara tumbled forward, barely managing to grab onto a protruding root. She hung dangerously over the edge of the ravine. Her heart thundered in her ears as she clung to safety. For a moment, everything was still. Then, a dark figure emerged from the trees. It was silhouetted against the moonlit sky.
Who are you? What do you want?
The figure remained silent as it slowly advanced. Mara's mind raced, weighing her options. The ravine below was deep and treacherous. Staying put, however, meant certain capture. She faced a difficult choice between two dangerous paths.
Think, Mara. Think.
In that moment, a memory flashed through her mind. She recalled a hidden cave system she had mapped last spring. The cave's entrance was concealed at the base of the ravine.
Trust your instincts. Trust yourself.
Mara took a deep breath. She let go of the root, plunging into the darkness below. As she fell, Mara twisted her body. She aimed for the shadowy alcove she hoped was there. The uncertainty of her descent mixed with her determination to find safety in the unseen depths. The icy river at the ravine's bottom shocked Mara. It knocked the air from her lungs. Fighting against the current, she clawed her way forward. Mara was aiming for a hidden cave entrance. She prayed her risky plan would succeed.
Please, please be there.
Her hand gripped the slick rock. With a final surge of strength, Mara pulled herself into the cave opening. She lay there, gasping for breath. The sounds of pursuit faded into the night.
Okay. What now?
As the adrenaline began to fade, Mara realized her dire situation. She was alone, injured, and trapped in a cave system. An unknown pursuer might still be searching for her. The night was far from over. Mara knew surviving until dawn would be challenging. It would require all her strength, knowledge, and instincts. The morning after her terrifying escape through the forest, Mara paced her apartment. Every shadow appeared threatening. Her usual sanctuary now felt like a cage. The windows seemed to expose her to hidden watchers. Mara's once safe home had become a place of unease and vulnerability.
Get it together, Mara. You're safe here. It's just your imagination.
She spoke the words aloud. Her gaze darted to the curtains. She searched for any sign of movement. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. The sound made her jump.
Hello?
Mara? It's Tom. Just checking in after yesterday. Are you okay?
Mara hesitated for a moment. Her instinct was to brush off any concern. However, she felt a new desire for connection. This internal conflict left her uncertain about how to respond.
I'm not sure. Tom, could we maybe meet? I think I need to talk to someone.
Of course. How about the cafe near the park entrance in an hour?
Yeah, okay, thanks.
An hour had passed when Mara sat across from Tom in a corner booth. Her hands were clutching a steaming mug of coffee. The cafe was bustling with morning customers. To Mara, each face seemed to hide a potential threat.
You look like you haven't slept. Want to tell me what's going on?
There's a feeling I can't shake. I'm being watched and hunted. It's not just in the forest anymore. The feeling is everywhere now.
Tom leaned forward. His brow was furrowed. He looked concerned. This series of actions and expressions revealed Tom's worried state of mind.
Have you considered reporting this to the police?
And tell them what? I have a bad feeling. I'm jumping at shadows. They'd think I was crazy.
Maybe we could start by piecing together what we know. When did you first notice something was off?
Mara took a deep breath. She forced her analytical mind to take over.
It was subtle at first. I noticed branches out of place on my usual trails. There were footprints that didn't match any of the regular hikers. Then I started feeling eyes on me. This happened even when I couldn't see anyone around.
And yesterday?
Yesterday was different. It was deliberate, like they wanted me to know I was being chased.
As they spoke, Mara's eyes scanned the cafe. Suddenly, she froze in place. The color drained from her face.
Tom, that man by the window. I've seen him before. On the trails. He shouldn't be here.
Tom turned discreetly to look. The man had already stood up. He was heading for the exit.
Mara, wait.
Mara was already on her feet. She quickly followed the man out of the cafe. Tom hurried after her. He almost ran into Mara. who stood motionless on the sidewalk.
He's gone. How did he disappear so quickly?
Mara, who was that man? Did you recognize him?
Mara turned to face Tom. Her eyes were wide open. She felt a mix of fear and growing understanding. The sudden change in her expression revealed her complex emotions.
I think I've seen him before. It's not just from the trails. Tom looks like someone from my childhood. I thought that person was long gone.
What do you mean? Who is he?
He reminds me of my parents' old groundskeeper. This groundskeeper was there on a specific night. It was the night of an incident.
Tom placed a steadying hand on Mara's shoulder. His voice was low and urgent.
Mara, what incident? What happened in your childhood?
Mara's breath came in short gasps. Long-buried memories began to surface in her mind.
I never told anyone about it. I thought it was just a nightmare. But now, everything has changed. Oh God, Tom, what if it was real? What if he's back to finish what he started?
As her words' impact became clear, the bustling street seemed to fade away. Mara and Tom were left in a moment of shocked silence. The hunt had just become far more personal than they could have imagined. The ranger station buzzed with tension. Mara and Tom huddled over a map. It was spread across the worn wooden table. Outside, the dense forest loomed. It hid secrets and dangers within its dark recesses.
All right, Mara, we need to be smart about drawing this person out. The overlook gives us the best vantage point. However, it's also exposed. We must be cautious in our approach.
That's exactly why it's perfect, Tom. I'll be visible enough to tempt him, but I'll have a clear view of anyone approaching.
Mara's voice remained steady as she traced the trail. Her fingers, however, trembled slightly during the journey. The path led to a scenic overlook. Tom noticed Mara's unease and frowned. Worry creased his weathered face.
I don't like the idea of you being out there alone. We should have backup nearby.
No, that won't work. Too many people will frighten him. This situation has to end, Tom. I can't continue living in fear. I'm constantly on edge, startled by every shadow.
A heavy silence fell between them. The quiet was broken only by a distant raven's call. Tom sighed deeply. He reluctantly nodded his agreement.
Fine. I'll be monitoring the radio constantly. One word from you, and I'm calling for help. I'll alert every ranger and cop within a large area.
Deal.
The scene shifts to Dr. Reeves' office. Mara sits rigidly on the edge of a plush armchair. Her body is tense with nervousness, ready to spring into action at any moment.
Mara, I understand your need to confront this situation directly. Have you thought about the emotional impact? This plan might have significant consequences on your well-being. It's important to consider how it could affect you mentally before moving forward.
I don't have a choice, Dr. Reeves. I can't keep running. I need to face this. Face him.
You always have a choice, Mara. It's important to recognize that. This plan isn't just about catching a stalker. It's about regaining control.
Mara's eyes widened slightly. A flicker of recognition passed across her face. She quickly controlled her expression.
I guess you're right. Ever since I was a kid, running has been my way of feeling in control. But now, running isn't enough. I need to stand my ground.
That's a powerful realization, Mara. True strength isn't just about standing alone. It's also about knowing when to ask for help from others.
The sun began to set. Long shadows stretched across the forest. Mara found herself at the overlook. A beautiful vista lay before her. Her narrowed, watchful eyes missed the beauty. Despite the stunning scene, Mara remained alert and focused.
You can do this, Mara. You're not that helpless kid anymore.
She whispered to herself. Her hand instinctively reached for the radio at her hip. The forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting. In the distance, a twig snapped. Mara's heart leapt into her throat. It was pounding furiously. This was it, the moment of truth. She took a deep breath. Mara braced herself for whatever might appear. The darkness was growing around her, closing in. Before we continue, let's take a moment to reflect. What are your thoughts on this story? What would you like to hear next? Please share your opinions in the comments. Dark clouds swirled menacingly as Mara reached the forest viewpoint. The air crackled with tension. It reflected her inner turmoil. She scanned the tree line, her heart pounding. Mara waited anxiously for Tom to arrive with backup.
Come on, Tom. Where are you?
A twig snapped behind her. Mara whirled around quickly. Her muscles were tensed, ready to move at a moment's notice.
Tom, is that you?
A figure emerged from the shadows. It wasn't Tom. Mara's blood ran cold. Recognition slowly dawned on her. The unexpected presence in Mara's realization created a tense atmosphere.
No, it can't be.
Hello, Mara. Surprised to see me?
The stalker's face was hauntingly familiar. It was like a distorted reflection of someone from her past. Mara's mind reeled at this revelation. She struggled to reconcile it with her memories. The eerie recognition sent shockwaves through her thoughts, challenging everything she believed she knew.
You're supposed to be dead.
Oh, Mara, you were always too quick to believe what you were told. Your parents did a good job keeping you in the dark.
Lightning flashed brightly. It illuminated the ravine behind them. Thunder crashed loudly. The heavens opened up. Rain began to pour down. Both of them were soaked within seconds.
Why? Why have you been following me?
To finish what we started all those years ago. You escaped once. It won't happen again.
The stalker lunged forward. Mara's training kicked in immediately. Her instincts reacted faster than her thoughts. She dodged the attack swiftly. Mara felt the rush of air as her attacker barely missed her. The near miss heightened her awareness of the danger she faced.
You're wrong. I'm not that helpless child anymore.
Mara turned and sprinted into the forest. Her feet found footing on the slick ground. She could hear her pursuer crashing through the underbrush. The sound came from behind her. The storm raged around them. Branches whipped in the fierce wind. Mara's mind raced as she recalled every trail. She remembered every shortcut discovered over months of runs. Veering off the main path, Mara ducked under branches hanging low. Her quick thinking and knowledge of the area guided her through the dangerous storm.
Think, Mara. Use what you know.
She spotted a fallen log ahead. She remembered the steep drop on the other side. Taking this path was risky, but it might be her only chance.
Trust your instincts. You can do this.
Mara leapt onto the log. She used it as a springboard to launch herself across the ravine. For a breathtaking instant, she was airborne. The deep gap opened below her, creating a tense moment of suspense. She landed hard on the other side. She rolled to soften her landing. Pain shot through her ankle. Adrenaline pushed her forward. Behind her, she heard a frustrated yell.
You can't run forever, Mara.
But she could, and she would. Mara pushed on, breathing in labored gasps. She had to find help. She had to survive. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to feel. The full weight of her fear, anger, and determination washed over her.
I'm not alone. I'm not weak. I will survive this.
She heard a distant shout. It was Tom's voice calling her name. Hope surged through her. She changed course, heading toward the sound. It was the sound of salvation.
Tom, I'm here. Help!
The chase was far from over. In that moment, Mara knew she had won an important fight. She had faced her past and trusted her instincts. Mara had asked for help when she needed it. Whatever came next, she would face it head-on. She was no longer alone. Mara was stronger now, thanks to the bonds she had formed with others. The dense forest surrounded Mara. Shadows deepened as twilight approached. She stood alone, her breath ragged. Mara listened carefully for any signs of pursuit. A heavy realization settled upon her. She was truly on her own now. Mara found herself cut off from Tom. Any hope of immediate rescue had vanished.
Come on, Mara. Think. You've trained for this. You know these woods.
Her voice trembled slightly, barely above a whisper. For once, Mara didn't try to hold back the fear flowing through her body. Instead, she closed her eyes. Mara allowed herself to feel every emotion and instinct she had previously ignored.
Shit.
Mara's eyes snapped open. Her body immediately tensed, ready to act. Without conscious thought, she found herself moving. She glided swiftly and quietly through the underbrush. Her movements were more fluid and natural than ever before. Mara navigated the dangerous landscape. Memories of her difficult childhood emerged. Instead of suppressing these thoughts, she allowed them to surface. Mara found strength in embracing the scared little girl from her past. By accepting these memories, she transformed her vulnerability into a source of resilience.
I survived then. I'll survive now.
The words came out as a fierce and determined growl. Mara felt a raw power growing inside her. This force seemed to sharpen her senses. It also guided her movements, enhancing her awareness and control. She paused at the edge of a steep ravine. The sound of a rushing stream came from below. In the fading light, Mara spotted a narrow ledge. The ledge led to a small opening in the rocky cliff wall.
Perfect. I can use that for shelter and to throw them off my trail.
Mara carefully made her way along the ledge. She felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. For the first time in years, she wasn't fighting her emotions. She was no longer doubting her instincts. Mara was one with her surroundings, moving in harmony with the wilderness around her. A few loose stones fell down the rocky slope. Mara steadied herself on the precipice. She froze, listening intently. Mara searched for any sign that her pursuer had heard the noise. Her heart raced as she waited in tense silence.
Trust yourself, Mara. You know what to do.
Mara continued her perilous journey along the ledge with renewed determination. As she neared the cave entrance, a realization struck her. The independence she had fiercely clung to had become a strength. It was no longer a vulnerability. Here, alone in the wilderness, her self-reliance might just save her life.
I am the wilderness. I am the prey and the predator. And I will survive.
These words were spoken with quiet intensity. They echoed in the growing darkness. Mara Winters was a wildlife biologist and runner. She had tapped into something ancient and powerful. It was far beyond anything she had ever imagined. Mara disappeared into the shadows of the cave. She knew she would face whatever came next. Mara was ready with her newly awakened primal strength. The sharp peaks of the mountain pass loomed before Mara. Their outlines stood stark against the fading twilight. Her breath came in quick gasps. Her muscles ached from the long chase. She knew her stalker was very near. This was the moment. The final face-off she had feared and readied for was about to begin.
Come on, Mara. You've trained for this. You know these mountains better than anyone.
She pressed her back against a large boulder. Her eyes darted across the dangerous landscape. Every shadow seemed to move. Every rustle of leaves became a potential threat. She had fought hard to control her paranoia. Now it threatened to overwhelm her. The woman scanned her surroundings, feeling increasingly unsafe in the eerie silence.
Who's there? Show yourself.
Silence answered her. Then, a voice broke through. It was calm and almost amused. The sound cut through the mountain air.
Oh, Mara, still so defiant. Did you really think you could outrun me?
Mara's blood ran cold. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. She fought to keep her composure. Dr. Reeves' words echoed in her mind. The mysterious sound had shaken Mara to her core, yet she struggled to maintain her calm. Despite her fear, she recalled the doctor's advice, which now replayed in her thoughts.
Trust your instincts, Mara. They're trying to tell you something.
Why are you doing this? What do you want from me?
A cold, emotionless chuckle answered her. Mara's eyes focused on a shadowy figure. This mysterious shape was emerging from behind a far-off rocky ledge.
What do I want? I want you to remember, Mara, to face what you've been running from all these years.
Images flashed through Mara's mind. They were fragments of a deeply hidden memory. It was a childhood trauma she had suppressed. This explained her parents' overprotective behavior. The revelation also shed light on Mara's need for control. These forgotten moments resurfaced, connecting past and present.
No, it can't be. You're...
Before she could finish, a gust of wind blew. The wind sent loose rocks tumbling down the hillside. Mara stumbled, momentarily losing her footing. This was all the opening her stalker needed. Mara's heart pounded as she sprinted along a narrow ledge. Her pursuer was gaining ground quickly. Despite this, Mara refused to give in to panic. She had one last chance, a risky move. It would require all of her skill and bravery to succeed.
You want me to face my past? Fine. But it's on my terms.
With that, Mara made a quick decision. She veered sharply, leaping across a gap between two rock faces. This daring move could either save her or determine her future. Mara's hands grasped the far ledge. Her muscles tensed as she pulled herself up. Behind her, she heard movement. Her pursuer had stopped quickly. They stood at the edge of the gap.
Impressive, Mara, but you can't run forever.
You're right. I'm done running.
Mara turned to face her tormentor. Suddenly, a sense of clarity washed over her. She realized she was no longer the helpless child from her past. Mara was a survivor now. She had become stronger than she had ever given herself credit for.
I remember now, and I'm not afraid anymore.
The standoff would determine Mara's fate. It would also shape the course of her future. The first light of dawn broke over the mountain peaks. Mara Winters prepared to confront her deepest fears. She was ready to reclaim her life. The sterile white of the hospital room slowly became clear. Mara's eyes fluttered open to this unfamiliar scene. The steady beep of monitors filled the air. A sharp, clean smell invaded her senses. This sterile environment stood in stark contrast to the wild forest she last remembered.
Where am I?
Mara's voice was hoarse and barely above a whisper. She tried to lift her head. However, she winced at the sharp pain. The pain spread throughout her entire body.
Hey, you're awake. Take it easy, Mara. You're safe now.
Tom Hollister's familiar face came into view. His expression revealed a mix of emotions. Relief and concern were evident on his face.
Tom? What happened? The last thing I remember is...
Mara's voice trailed off. Fragmented memories flashed through her mind. She recalled the chase and the fall. An overwhelming sense of fear engulfed her.
You fell heavily while trying to escape. Search and rescue teams found you at the bottom of a ravine. You've been unconscious for a couple of days since then.
And him? The stalker?
Mara's heart rate quickened. The monitor's beeping sped up in response.
We found evidence, Mara. You were right all along. I'm so sorry I doubted you.
Tom made an admission. It was a mixed victory for Mara. She closed her eyes. Mara needed time to process the information. The revelation lingered, its impact clear.
Did you catch him?
Not yet, but we're close. The whole team is on it. You're safe here, I promise.
Mara nodded slowly. Her usual independence was at war. She felt a new desire for reassurance. This internal conflict surprised her, as she grappled with unfamiliar emotions.
Thank you, Tom, for being here.
The words sounded strange to Mara, but she realized she meant them. As she drifted back to sleep, she felt Tom's hand. He gently squeezed hers. It was a small comfort after her ordeal. Days passed, and Mara's physical wounds began to heal. However, the emotional wounds were more severe. Mara attended rehabilitation sessions. In these sessions, she came face-to-face with Dr. Elena Reeves. The doctor would help Mara address her deeper, unseen scars.
How are you feeling today, Mara?
Physically, better. Mentally, I'm not sure I know anymore.
That's understandable. You've been through a traumatic experience. It's okay to feel uncertain.
I've always prided myself on being in control. I used to trust my instincts without question. But now, things have changed. I'm not sure if I can trust myself anymore.
Dr. Reeves leaned forward. Her gaze was steady and compassionate.
Mara, your instincts were right. They kept you alive. The problem wasn't your instincts. It was the barrier you put up. This barrier prevented you from accepting help and trusting others.
I've never needed anyone else. I've always been fine on my own.
And yet, it was a team effort that ultimately saved you. There's strength in independence, Mara. But there's also strength in connection.
Mara fell silent. She was thinking about Dr. Reeves' words. The message they conveyed was uncomfortable. Yet, it was a truth she couldn't deny.
So what now? How do I balance this?
That's what we're here to work on together. It's a journey, Mara. One step at a time.
As the session ended, Mara felt a glimmer of something new. It was hope, an emotion she hadn't felt in years. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, Mara didn't feel like she had to face it alone. The crisp morning air nipped at Mara's exposed skin. She stood at the trailhead, her breath forming small clouds. The familiar path stretched before her. Dappled sunlight peeked through the towering pines. Mara hesitated, tightening her grip on the backpack strap.
This is it. No turning back now.
Mara took a deep breath. She closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, her gaze changed. There was a new determination in her expression.
One step at a time, Winters. You've got this.
Mara began her trek. Memories of her difficult experiences flooded back. This time, she didn't push them away. Instead, Mara allowed herself to acknowledge them.
It's okay to be afraid. It doesn't make me weak.
The words of Dr. Reeves echoed in her mind. They were a gentle reminder. She reflected on how far she had come.
Fear is a natural response, Mara. It's how we handle it that defines us.
Mara rounded a bend on her path. She caught sight of a figure in the distance. Her pulse quickened briefly, then she recognized the familiar uniform.
Morning, Mara. Good to see you back out here.
Tom, I didn't expect to see anyone this early.
Mara's voice held a mix of surprise and cautious warmth. Tom's presence had once been a source of irritation for her. Now, it brought an unexpected comfort. This shift in Mara's perception of Tom was evident in her tone.
Just finishing up the morning patrol. How are you holding up?
I'm managing, taking it one day at a time.
Tom nodded in response. His eyes showed understanding.
That's all any of us can do. You know, the trails have missed you. If you ever want company out here, just say the word.
Mara felt a small smile. It tugged gently at her lips. This unexpected expression surprised her.
I might just take you up on that sometime. Thanks, Tom.
As Tom walked away, Mara stood for a moment. She watched him disappear around the bend. The interaction left her feeling surprisingly uplifted. Mara resumed her hike with renewed energy. Her stride grew more confident with each step. The forest around her had once been a mix of comfort and fear. Now, it felt different to her. She was seeing the forest through new eyes.
It's still beautiful out here, and I'm still me, just a different version of me.
As she reached the top of a hill, a breathtaking view appeared before her. Mara paused to take in the sight. The sprawling wilderness stretched out ahead, captivating her gaze.
I made it, I'm here, and I'm not alone anymore.
With those words, Mara felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. After a brief pause, she dialed a number.
Hey, Elena, it's Mara. I just wanted to let you know. I'm back on the trail.
Mara shared her milestone with Dr. Reeves. Her voice showed both pride and vulnerability. She was reclaiming her path on this journey. This time, she was bringing others along with her.
I think I'm ready for that group therapy session. You mentioned it earlier. I'm considering inviting Tom for a hike. Maybe we could go next weekend?
Mara continued along the trail with a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead was still challenging. Now she faced it with newfound strength. This strength came from trust and vulnerability. She knew she was never truly alone on her journey. The story is over. Thank you for listening. Please write a comment about this story. Tell me what you think. I will read all of your comments. I'll reply to each of you personally. See you next time.